This week's module focused on a few big topics in regards to technology. In this podcast, we will be discussing the impacts technological evolution has on accessibility, globalization, and the environment. As technology continues to grow and advance, the issue of the digital divide continues to grow as well. People in poverty-stricken areas lack accessibility to technology that holds them back in an increasingly digitized world. However, what if technology could be the very thing that sets them free and allows them to take control of their future? In 2010, a solar-powered lamp and charger was created in China, which, to the more privileged populations, might be a perfect tool to have on hand for camping trips, traveling, and in case of emergencies. But for those who are less fortunate, this piece of technology can positively impact lives on a daily basis. In areas where electricity is unreliable due to corrupt governments, kerosene lamps are utilized to provide a source of light once the sun goes down. However, kerosene is expensive and dangerous. The solar-powered lamp and charger is free to use once it is purchased and allows people to continue their daily tasks in the evening without the cost and risk of using kerosene lamps. When the lamp is not being used during the day for light, it can be used as a charger for other devices and even become a source of income, essentially renting it to other people to charge their devices on. One account of a woman with a solar-powered lamp and charger noted that she and her children can complete their schoolwork and studies even after the sun goes down thanks to the solar-powered lamp. The solar-powered lamp and charger is also beneficial to the environment as it lowers the dependency on fossil fuels, which we will discuss further later on when we talk about globalization and the impacts of the environment. Accessibility of technology is taking another form through biohacking, as average individuals have begun exploring the world of bioengineering, gene sequencing, and editing DNA, oftentimes using themselves as test subjects. This biohacking trend is taking place outside of traditional laboratories and institutions, and thus freeing people from the restraints of traditional labs. This allows people to experiment with the extraction and modification of cells and DNA with minimal regulation and, surprisingly, at a relatively low cost. From keeping HIV symptoms at bay to attempting to make skin fluorescent with the use of jellyfish DNA, the limits are endless to what people have been doing with biohacking. While this sounds very complex and expensive, the cost of biohacking is relatively affordable, as the global trade for instruments and devices is so ubiquitous that costs have become reasonable, all things considered. Not only is the idea of biohacking truly remarkable, people with little to no background in bioengineering getting involved with the field, but it's creating accessibility for those who may not be able to afford costly gene therapy treatments through traditional means. Granted, you have to have a special interest in biohacking to be able to successfully do it yourself, but it is opening new doors to treatment and management of diseases that we've never seen before. Francis Fukuyama discusses the future of biotechnology in Post-Human World and highlights the dystopian societies in novels such as 1984 and A Brave New World. He discusses the possibilities of various societal outcomes if we continue on a path of gene modification and the consequences of essentially building our future offspring to be perfect humans through bioengineering. Fukuyama asks the reader if there is a need for regulation on biotechnology, as the outcomes for society could potentially strip people of what it means to be human: pain, suffering, decision-making, desire, and discomfort. If we continue to advance in bioengineering to the point where the ultra-wealthy have the ability to build ideal offspring, conventionally attractive, athletically advanced, and intelligent, where does that leave room for the human experience? And more importantly, where does that leave the less wealthy 99% that cannot afford to genetically modify themselves or their offspring to be elite humans? While there are benefits to biohacking and bioengineering, such as eradication of deadly genetic diseases, at what point are we compromising the essence of being human to lead seemingly perfect lives? In AI and the Economy from Module 4, Stuart Russell states, "True enjoyment and lasting fulfillment come from having a purpose and achieving it, or at least trying, usually in the face of obstacles. There's a difference between climbing Mount Everest and being deposited on top by a helicopter." The same idea can be held true for bioengineering. Without struggle, there's no satisfaction. Without pain, there's no pleasure. If we become genetically perfect creatures living perfect little lives, we lose motivation for creating a better future for ourselves because we don't need to. While the globalization of technologies like the solar-powered lamp and biohacking is a benefit of the spread of technology, there are also downsides to globalization of technology that we are seeing in the environment. In The Nexus and the Name Tree, Robert W. Cates discusses the impacts globalization is having on the environment due to deforestation, pollution, and human-induced climate change, as our population grows and consumes at rates higher than ever seen before. We are also seeing the gap in income inequality becoming bigger and bigger with globalization, which is impacting the hunger crisis globally, not to mention the impacts the state of our environment is having on agriculture, a vital source of food. Similarly, in Chapter 6 of Human-Built World, Hughes discusses the dangers of technological illiteracy that plague society and how it is impacting eco-technological systems. In order to build eco-technological systems that coexist with nature, we must educate ourselves on the range of technology and our responsibilities to it. Hughes hopes for an end to bulldozing natural features of cities to build high-rises that block airflow that carry away pollutants, and calls for society to respect natural features and provide an optimal compromise between nature and human purpose, for this is the only way we can sustain ourselves in the long run. Consistently throughout the modules, the theme of technological literacy has been recurring, and it being the only way we can utilize technology that is not only safe for humans, but also safe for the environment. Whether it be AI, warfare, or urbanization, technological literacy is the basis for safety in any aspect of technology. How we use technology can be wildly beneficial to our society or detrimental. Understanding the responsibility that comes with using technology, when to draw lines, enact regulations, and taking a step back to examine the pros versus the cons of using certain technologies will be what determines our existence in a digitized world.